What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. With Destiny's newest dungeon just a few weeks away, I thought it would be a good opportunity to take an early look at some of the best builds and loadouts that you'll want to have prepped and ready to go when this new dungeon and its contest mode launches on October the 11th. If you're a day-to-day player, then odds are you've already been using some of the builds that we talk about today, and they're probably already saved in your in-game loadouts, which is why this video is much more directed towards newer and returning players. This will be the first ever dungeon to include a contest mode, something we've only seen with newly released raids. During its contest mode, this new dungeon will be much more of a challenge for players. You can expect to see tougher enemies, possibly even champions, and these enemies are going to hit a lot harder and will most likely be at a light level disadvantage. So it'll be even more crucial to have the best loadouts and builds equipped so that you and your team have the best chances of success. So to that end, we will be taking a look at some of the best builds for each class that excel at survival and those that are more inclined towards optimal damage. I will be including Destiny Item Manager and Mobalytics links to all of these builds, so if you need to make a copy of any of the builds that we talk about today, then be sure to check those out down in the description. And with that said, we start with the Warlock. Warlocks have what I would consider to be the greatest selection of team support builds, and the crowning jewel of those would be the Speaker's Sight Solar build. You'll have a constant supply of healing turrets granting cure and restoration to keep you and your teammates alive and kicking. And with the bonus orb generation that you'll give your teammates, you'll be able to chain supers more easily. With the Song of Flame equipped, you'll have a roaming super that grants you and nearby allies increased damage resistance. Your solar and kinetic weapons are going to scorch targets while Song of Flame is active, and you'll have rapid regeneration of all of your abilities. This can be used towards crowd control or for boss damage. So not only will you be able to provide an abundance of support for your team, but you'll be able to deal out a lot of damage. And if there are champions present, you'll be well equipped to handle barrier and unstoppable champs. I would recommend pairing this build with solar weapons that come with heal clip to give yourself and teammates even more health recovery. The no hesitation support frame auto rifle would also be a great choice. When it comes to exotic weapons, you could double down on the bonus health regeneration by using the Red Death or the Lumina, but by using exotics like the Dragon's Breath or Microcosm, you'd be able to put up some incredible levels of damage. If there are any up-close damage encounters, then the Lament or Tractor Cannon would become very beneficial to use. For a build that's completely focused towards optimal boss damage, you'll want to look at the Prismatic subclass, utilizing an exotic class item that comes with the Star Eater scale. This way you'll give your super as much as a 70% bonus in damage, which would go great with Nova Bomb, Needle Storm, or Song of Flame. Spirit of Osmiomancy or Inmost Light would be able to complement Star Eaters for bonus ability energy, but to really push our damage potential, you'll want to have Apotheosis. This way, after casting your super, you'll be able to spam your grenades and melee abilities. With Facet of Dominance and Vortex grenades also equipped, you'll be able to keep enemies weakened, ensuring that you and your teammates are always able to deal optimal damage. And with Feed the Void keeping Devour triggered, you'll have a ton of bonus grenade energy and bonus health restoration. With optimal damage in mind, I would recommend using legendary heavy weapons like the Apex Predator or the Edge Transit with Bait and Switch. And to keep yourself and teammates loaded up on heavy ammo, I would most certainly recommend everyone using Heavy Ammo Finder and Scout mods. But if you find yourself using the Choir of One, I would recommend using Special Ammo Finder and Special Ammo Scout. Adding in the Wither Horde exotic grenade launcher or the Lost Signal legendary grenade launcher means that we'll have the added benefit of damage over time and an easy way to rotate through our loadouts so that we can keep Bait and Switch triggered. We could also utilize weapons that come with Grave Robber or Demolitionist so that we could automatically reload those weapons after using an ability, which could see rocket launchers like the Crowning Duologue or shotguns like the Aikilos or Perfect Paradox become very powerful options. And with that, we have ourselves a complete support build to help everyone stay alive, and a DPS build that's going to tear through those bosses during contest mode. And that brings us to our next class, where we'll be checking out a couple of solid Titan builds that you'll want to consider using. The Prismatic Consecration build has been a powerful option here in Echoes, especially with the Synthoceps and Severance exotic class item. but with a change in artifact mods, I just don't foresee this build retaining its dominance. It'll still be a great build to inflict a lot of up-close damage, which will be good for crowd control, but it can quickly put you into risky situations, since you're going to be point blank with your enemy. And it's because of that I find a Strand Synthoceps Banner of War build to be a much better option for a Dungeons contest mode. With Banner of War, you're giving you and nearby teammates a constant source of health regeneration, and with increased melee damage, you'll be able to easily shred through enemies with Frenzied Blades. Since we'll be able to keep Woven Mail active, we'll be able to maintain a 40% bonus in damage resistance, and if we throw on an exotic like the Navigator, we'll be able to extend the benefits of Woven Mail and share it with teammates. I would recommend using shotguns with 1-2 punch or trench barrel to be able to optimize on up-close damage, but since Banner of War and Synthoceps grants a bonus to sword and glaive damage, weapons like the Vexcalibur or the Lament could really become beneficial. Using Strand does limit our gameplay to more close-ranged engagements, but it's going to greatly improve not only our survivability, but of our teammates. And to extend our range, we could always equip weapons like the Euphony to be able to still deal out a good amount of damage. If we're looking for optimal damage out of a Titan build, then there's one of two options. We either need to go with the Prismatic route using a Star Eater scale class item with Twilight Arsenal or Thunder Crash, or we go with the Hazardous Propulsion to cash in on bonus rocket damage. This will amplify the damage of any rocket sidearm and any rocket launcher. It'll even increase the damage from rockets that are generated by Ergo Sum's Wolfpack trait. This is an agnostic exotic, so it'll work with any class, but I find it to function the best on Solar and Prismatic. The Dragon's Breath would make for a great exotic option with the Hazardous Propulsion, but you'll also find a lot of benefits out of using the Buried Bloodline. This would grant Devour to give you a constant source of grenade energy and health restoration. It also weakens enemies when Devour is active, and you could easily insert the Call Rocket sidearm and a legendary rocket launcher like the Apex Predator to be able to maximize on the bonus rocket damage. Regardless of what subclass you've chosen, you'll want to be sure to focus towards regenerating class ability quickly so that you can maximize on the full benefits of the Hazardous Propulsion. With Warlocks and Titans out of the way, let's finish off this video by talking about Hunters. The first build that we're going to discuss is purely for support and survival, and we turn to the Void subclass for that. This subclass has 3 standout exotic class items: the Gerfalcon Hauberk, the Omnioculus, and the Orpheus Rigs. While the Gerfalcons would be great for adding in extra damage, the Omnioculus and the Orpheus Rigs are much better suited for survival. The Omnioculus does grant bonus damage resistance to its user and nearby allies, but it doesn't last very long, so unless you're staying right on top of your teammates, it's not going to be as beneficial. This is why I find the Orpheus Rigs to be a much better option for a Day 1 contest mode. This will give you increased uptime on your Tether Super, allowing you to use it for both crowd control purposes and when it comes to damage phases. Those tethers are going to keep enemies weakened, so that you and teammates can clear through rank and file enemies faster and deal optimal damage against bosses. You'll have the benefit of volatile rounds given to all of your void weapons, which will make exotics like the Choir of One even more dominating. With Echo of Starvation granting Devour, we'll have bonus grenade energy to be able to keep enemies weakened, and we'll have bonus health regeneration to keep ourselves alive. With grenades and tether keeping enemies weak, I would recommend using heavy weapons like the Edge Transit with Bait and Switch or the Retrofit Escapade with Target Lock to maximize on your damage potential. Hunters have a lot of options when it comes to putting together a build that's going to provide optimal damage output, and most of them revolve around the Star Eater scale, the Lucky Pants, or the Celestial Nighthawk. When it comes to a Day 1 challenge, it's really hard to pass up on the damage that the Celestial Nighthawk is going to put up, especially when it's combined with the Still Hunt exotic sniper rifle. This combination would work out great on a Prismatic build, but you'll find much better synergy in terms of damage and survival whenever it's used on a standard Solar subclass. And that's because we're going to be able to prolong the effects of Restoration and Radiance, and we'll even have the option of a healing grenade. I would still recommend including weapons that come with heal clip because hunters can be squishy, and those enemies are going to be tough during contest mode. One alternate hunter build that deserves an honorable mention is the Arcstrider build, utilizing Gathering Storm with the Star Eater's exotic. This build might not have the healing benefits of Devour or Restoration, but it comes with high levels of damage resistance and crowd control. Having options to jolt and blind enemies will make it a lot easier to get through each encounter, and will have a high-powered super that's going to inflict a ton of burst damage, on top of damage over time, to help us take down those bosses and big groups of enemies a lot faster. I would recommend using weapons like Indebted Kindness that come with Volt Shot to be able to improve upon our crowd control capabilities. And the Thunderlord Exotic Heavy Machine Gun would make for a great option when it comes to damage phase, and it's really going to come in handy if there are Overload champions. You'll just want to be sure that you have Heavy Ammo Finder and Scavenger mods equipped. And with that, we've now covered several different top tier builds that are going to bring you a ton of success when that contest mode launches. As I mentioned earlier, I will be leaving the links of each of these builds down in the description so that you can easily make a copy. If there's any other builds that you believe to be a sure bet for players to use, then be sure to let us know what those are down in the comments. I wish you all the best of luck out there. Thank you for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated and both really do help support the channel. If you're a new Light Guardian, just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran, just looking for a new place to call home, then be sure to check out the Discord link that's down in the description, and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.